you may have heard a story of a particular researcher from an Australian university a few years back, right? Who essentially fudged dozens, like 30 papers or something.
Wow.
He was like plagiarizing, falsifying results, and duplicating results, all that kind of stuff. And all these other researchers were dubbing him in, and eventually he had to retract all his papers and he got stood down from his job. And I mean, but it just illustrates that's what it does to you. Right? Obviously, he did a bad thing. It's bad research integrity and serious misconduct. But at the same time, I think it's a really sad testament to the research world and its constant hunger for more outputs. And what you have to realize is that when these are health and medical researchers, they could be doing serious damage and wasting a lot of taxpayer money. So when I went back to look up this guy's story, okay, might be a bit of a rabbit hole, but I found another story of someone else, right? Similar type of story, right? He's like a medical researcher, a professor, super productive, making breakthrough advances. Some other researcher found errors in their work and contacted them in like 2009 or something. And the guy was just like, oh, okay, thanks for picking that up. Sorry, see ya. But the person that found errors just kind of persisted. And eventually there were whistleblowers within this guy's lab. And together they it sparked an investigation, right? And apparently they got a total of 5 independent expert panels that were commissioned by the university to investigate the person. But they cleared him of any misconduct. But apparently the process was really sticky. Like investigators, they were like really restricted in what information or data they could actually access to validate claims. And so one of the investigators actually complained to the National Research Funding Watchdog and was like, oh, the university is restricting like the investigation. So they're trying to not get a negative outcome for their own kind of professor. And so like it was only 2016 the person was cleared, like publicly. The university announced, oh yeah, there's no misconduct, etc. But even after this, the guy's publications continue to get retracted. And the complaining didn't stop. There were more complaints to the Australian Research Integrity Committee. So eventually the university gives in and commissions a final investigation. And their conclusion was basically like, oh yeah, he may have acted in a way that was negligent, but it was only between these specific dates. And it wasn't gross and persistent negligence. The consequences weren't that bad. I'm not sure what the situation is now, but I did Google their name and found they're still an active researcher. Like they have a proper research profile on the university website. And they're still publishing things, supervising students.
And I wonder how many these incidents gets reported. I would assume that sometimes.
Yeah, well, I saw somewhere like the number of retractions from journals, like in recent years, is like 1,500 a year.
Wow.
And it's up from like a couple hundred, like 10 or so years ago. So clearly it's an increasing problem.
That's like one of my worst nightmares. To get retraction.
Ratum.
There was a very famous Chinese professor, and she works for a very like high prestige Chinese university, and I think there was 500 papers that the images were photoshopped. Like you said that you bought something. I think she had a whole team working on the photoshopping part.
Oh my god.
Yeah.